Podcast City Network.
This is Final Score, your number one podcast for sports news. Here are your hosts, Chris and Craig.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Final Score, episode 78. Yeah, man, we're getting up there, but this one's going to be a good one because we got a lot of crazy stuff to cover, from prima donna whiteouts to crazy upsets. So much going on today. But before we can get to that, I got to bring in the man, the myth, the legend. Oh, wait, sorry, we don't have that guy anymore. But it's okay. We still got Craig. How you doing, bud?
Yeah, we don't have Kevin Watson or George DeMoya regularly at the moment, so you'll have to settle with me.
But it's okay. We love having you on because you're the man. You're the original.
Yeah, OG of Final Score. The two are the boys are back, as they would say. But yeah, no, it's been a great weekend, man. Excited that Big Ten football's back. We're going to cover that in college football. Some big matchups in the NFL and big stories come out of the NFL. I'm excited. It's going to be a good show.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. A lot of great stuff. But to make sure that you keep up on all things Final Score, you got to follow us on social media at PCN Final Score on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram. Go on all those platforms. Give us a like, give us a follow, and check out all the great stuff that we have on there because, hey, we try to do all this for you guys, and we have a lot of crazy stuff up there, so go check it out. But we also have some new stuff that we've been doing, including some Final Score gear that you can find on the PCN shop that is now open, where you can get the latest apparel and gear. It's a lot of great stuff, I tell you what. But whether it's a net gaiter to protect you from COVID, a mug for your morning coffee, or just a t-shirt just to look cool because, you know, who doesn't like to look cool? We got you covered. Get the latest apparel and gear for your favorite podcast and Podcast City Network by visiting podcastcity.net/shop and checking out the lineup. And they are adding stuff all the time. I think they just added Deathmatch Wrestle podcast, or Deathmatch Wrestle Wrestling podcast. Added some of their gear on there. I know there's going to end up being some Double Dime stuff on there. So, an ELS. Just got with Everett Lee yesterday. ELS stuff will be going on there as well. So definitely make sure to keep your eyes out. A lot of great stuff happening there. But we're going to shift gears on over.
Yeah, it's a great way you. Yeah, it's a great way you can support all your favorite shows on Podcast City Network. Final Score's got our stuff as well. I can't wait to order some of my gear so that when the camera starts working again, I'll be donning some Final Score gear.
Yeah, thanks, Streamlabs. We appreciate your help with everything, too. Been working through a lot of technical issues with their latest updates, but, what is it not having updates without some kind of an issue? Gotta love it. Technology, baby. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and shift gears on over to some NFL Week 7 action. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to recap the Thursday night game, which I don't know if you saw that thing, man. That was a doozy, and I am utterly surprised that the Eagles were able to pull it off against the Giants 22-21 in the worst division in football. But, hey, got to have somebody there, right?
Yeah, I was talking a bunch of junk to you that day, actually, because I needed a stream defense in my fantasy league, and I picked up the Giants,
How'd that work out?
assuming that, with how bad it got me 7 points. It wasn't negative, so I'm happy. But no, I mean, how good of a job has Carson Wentz been able to do with literally no one around him? It's almost like he's playing by himself out there, but still passes for over 300 yards?
Yes, 359 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. He still had 17 carries as well for 14 yards and another touchdown. But he threw for just over 50%. So, I mean, Carson Wentz is slinging it out there looking like Brett Favre at times. So, it's crazy to see what he's been able to do, like you said, with such a limited roster. And, excuse me, I had found out after the game that the last 2 drives that they had, in that game, the only original starters that were on the field were Jason Kelsey and Carson Wentz. Beyond that, the other 9 guys were all backups, and they were able to go down and get the job done. So, I mean, hey, get it done, man.
Yeah, whatever you got to do, that's what it's all about in the NFL is no excuses. You got to go out and play the game no matter who you got, especially with COVID. How many guys are on COVID lists now? But it doesn't really matter. Like, at the end of the day, you got to go out and play the team that's across the field from you. And in this division, literally anything is possible. Literally anything is possible.
Yes, literally anything is possible. And it's just crazy to see. Oh, my gosh, it was so crazy to watch it unfold because there was one point – that I was actually making posts on Facebook saying, refs have screwed us. No way the Eagles win this. Way to go, refs, for screwing us again. All this kind of stuff, which I had to take down because then we came back and won the game. And it's like, just goes to show, you never know. You never know. But still, really great game. And now the Eagles at 2-4-1 lead the NFC East. So, wow, 2-4-1. Anyways.
I don't know what. I don't know what it is about New York, but, I mean, you got Sam Darnold seeing ghosts, and you got Daniel Jones tripping over ghosts. I don't know what's going on in New York.
Hey, but he got to 21.2 miles an hour, fastest on the season for a single rush. So, he's showing his best Lamar Jackson out there. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. But still, we got a great slate of games, and we're going to jump into our 1 p.m. set of games, starting with your Lions taking on the Atlanta Falcons. What do you think about this, bud?
Well, at the moment, the Falcons at home are a 1.5-point favorite coming off their first win, destroying the Vikings last week. The Lions had a surprising victory over the Jaguars last week. I had a chance to watch that. Didn't look terrible, but didn't look great a lot. I think they finally realized that, if you have a slew of running backs in the backfield, you kind of have to utilize them. So they were able to hold on to a lead. This game, I don't know. I'm a little torn in this game. I think the momentum from the Lions being on the road last week is going to help push them. It's going to be a tight game. I don't think it's going to be a very clean game, honestly.
Oh, no, definitely not.
I'll take the Lions, but I'm not super confident in that pick.
Yeah, that's going to be a doozy, and we'll definitely see how that one works out. I'm going to leave you on that one because the Lions, I'd say that's a pick 'em basically in my eyes, so we'll see. Our next game, though, we got the 4-2 Cleveland Browns taking on the 1-4-1 Cincinnati Bengals. Browns favored by 3.5, and this is going to be interesting just because the Cleveland Browns have shown especially against Pittsburgh Steelers, that they just can't hang. It seems like when they get up against the good teams, especially the Baltimore Ravens as well, they just can't hang and they get blown out. However, you're taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are lowly, but they do have Joe Burrow, who's been slinging that rock like no friggin' tomorrow. And I have a feeling this is going to end up being a tight one. But I think the Browns defense is going to be able to overcome, get to Burrow enough, and staunch that defense on down to be able to take this one. And I'm going to say it's going to be by a touchdown. Just a touchdown. It'll be late, and Browns will cover. Just saying.
Absolutely. The next game on the slate, probably the game of the week. 5-0 Steelers at the 5-0 Titans. And the Titans are favored -1 here. This is going to be a really good game. I think it was a couple days ago I saw the Steelers are 5-0 for the first time in a very long time. Last time they were undefeated through 5 games. They won the Super Bowl, if I'm not mistaken. And this is the latest, I think since 2014, this is the latest in the season we've seen a matchup of undefeated teams.
Very true.
This is going to be a really good game. I think with how the Steelers defense are playing, my matchup to look at is the Steelers defense, which is top 2 in the league, up against King Henry, who's been literally steamrolling people every single week. That's my matchup to watch. I'm going to actually take the Steelers here on the road just because the Titans have been going. They've gotten fined again for COVID, for their COVID stuff. not following protocol. They lost Taylor Lewan for it looks like the season. They're starting left tackle. They're probably going to have some issues, and I'm going to take the Steelers defense. Even though they lost Devin Bush for the year, I'm still going to take the Steelers here on the road in an upset.
Man,
slight upset.
Dude, I think there's Titans fans out there that are just like, yeah, because come on, man. When you got Derrick Henry in the backfield, like, come on. But, hey, man, I don't know. We'll see what happens because Tennessee has shown that they look pretty shaky at times.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We'll see how.
And all you got to do is you got to get some pressure on Ryan. You just got to get some pressure on Ryan Tannehill, and that's all really. That's who you got to stop. If you can make him make some mistakes, you can contain Derrick Henry to an extent.
This is true. This is very, very true. So, but we'll see how that one works out. 1 p.m. game. That's going to be in Nashville. But our next game, we have the 3-3 Carolina Panthers traveling on down to New Orleans to take on the 3-2 Saints. Saints are favored by 6.5. However, the Panthers have been making a big push to show that they actually are a team to contend with. And this is going to get very interesting in a lot of different ways. Obviously, a lot of drama right now that's been happening in the Saints locker room surrounding Michael Thomas over the past month or so. And we had, I can't even remember right now. I believe it was the head coach or the GM coming out and saying that there is no issue. This is all just media banter. However, if it's being reported to some extent, there has to be some kind of truth to it. And given that there already was the very publicly shared issue that he had with a defensive player of the Saints that he ended up punching, I believe it was Malcolm Jenkins, you can't ignore these kinds of things. So I kind of wonder if the Saints are going down the road of just distraction at this point. Carolina, though, is a team that is in a prime position, even without Christian McCaffrey, to be able to make some noise against a Saints defense that has let up a ton of passing yards this year. And I think the Panthers are going to be able to keep it close, but I still think Drew Brees is too good. I think the Saints will win, but I think Panthers will cover. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, next game on the slate, we got 4-2 Buffalo Bills traveling to the hapless New York Jets, who are 0-6. Buffalo is favored by 10. I don't even need to give any analysis on this game. Bills by a long shot.
Yeah, right. You don't really need to say anything because all you got to say is that it's straight up the Bills versus the... And that's all that needs to be said. But our next game, we have the 2-4 Dallas Cowboys taking on the Washington football team, or as George would say, the Washington football club at 1-5 at FedEx Field. Washington is surprisingly favored by 1 in this. However, you know, we do have an Andy Dalton-led Cowboys team. So I guess confidence over there in Jerry World has just gone through the ground. But what do you expect? Dak Prescott, man, we feel for you. So at the end of the day, though, Dallas will still have a shot. They still do have a decent running game. Washington, though, does have a very stifling defense with Chase Young there on defensive end, who's been able to make a lot of noise this year and has been top 5 in sacks. So something to kind of keep in mind going in this, that this is really going to be a game of attrition. I think that this will be a very big defensive battle, but I think the Washington football team is going to pull it out just because I don't want to see Dallas retake first in the NFC East at 3-4. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I would really like to see that pass rush against Andy Dalton. I think that'll be the game changer there.
Mm-hmm.
The last game in the 1 o'clock set, we got the 4-1 Packers that are going to be at the 1-5 Houston Texans. Packers are favored by 3 here. Houston's made a little bit of an uptick, but I mean, we're talking about the Packers and their offense. They did get their butts handed to them by the Buccaneers last week, but I think Rodgers and company has a bounce back game. Houston is still kind of literally picking up the pieces here. There's talks about them trading a bunch of veterans before the deadline. They're going into full rebuild mode. I'm going to take the Packers here. It's by 3. I think the Packers cover here.
Oh, yeah, and they definitely could. I know the Packers are definitely looking for that bounce back, so we'll definitely see how that works out. But talking about that team that ended up giving them that utter ass whooping, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 4-2 are traveling out to Allegiant Stadium to take on the Las Vegas Raiders, who are 3-2. Bucs are favored by 4, but honestly, this is going to be a gimme in my opinion because the Raiders are a much better team than we've seen these past couple of years. Honestly, very reminiscent of that, was it the 12-4 or 13-3 or the 12-4 squad that they had that actually made a decent little playoff bid, but the Buccaneers, man, they look dangerous. Now, they won't have their new signee, which we'll talk about after this segment. They're not going to have their new signee for this game. So still, we're going to have Mike Evans. Chris Godwin is now fully healthy. Rob Gronkowski is going to be on the field. And Tom Brady's coming off a really amazing game that he played against the Packers. This offense is going to be tough to stop. And as much as I'd love to say that the Raiders are going to get the upset in this, I think the Bucs will win. But I think the Raiders are going to cover. This is going to end up being a 1-point, 2-point game because Gruden always plays the Bucs good no matter where he's coaching at. So we'll definitely see how this one plays out. But I'm going to say it's going to be the Bucs by 1.
Yeah, that's definitely. I'm really excited to watch that game later on this afternoon. The 4:25 slate, we have the 5-1 Chiefs at the Broncos. The Chiefs are favored by 7. Broncos have really been struggling in a handful of areas here, and the Chiefs haven't been blowing people out of the water like kind of we've expected them to. But having their, I believe Le'Veon Bell is available for the first time in this game. So I'll be interested to see how he plays into this team. There's a bunch of weapons here for the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs win and cover in Denver.
Ooh, man, going to be a good game. I'll tell you what, Denver's been looking decent, but yeah, when you're talking about the Chiefs, come on. But the next game, we have the 3-3 San Francisco 49ers traveling to Foxborough to take on the New England Patriots at 2-3, and this is Jimmy Garoppolo's first return back to Foxborough since being traded away from the Patriots. The Patriots are favored by 3 and do have Cam Newton. However, the 49ers have been, on the flip side, a much more rocky team than we've seen. I think the Patriots are going to be able to use all the talent of Cam Newton to be able to get this ball down the field, whether it be through the air or on the ground, and we're going to be able to stifle that offense. Because remember, San Francisco's lost to teams like the Eagles, so come on. Do they really have a shot? Bill Belichick will find a way to win this, and Pats will cover.
The last game in the 4:25 set, we have the 1-5 Jaguars traveling out to L.A. Against the 1-4 Chargers. Chargers are favored by 7.5 for 2 one-win teams. That's quite the wide spread. But the Chargers, I mean, give Justin Herbert a lot of credit for rookie quarterback coming in. They've been in a lot of their games. They haven't lost too many games by a lot. There's a ton of injuries in this game. This is probably going to be a pretty sloppy game. You're talking about 4 or 5 guys on the Chargers on the offensive line are out. Hayden, Eifert, Jack, and Chris Thompson are all out for the Jags. The Jags have been kind of getting manhandled the last couple of games by the Lions and the Texans, so that doesn't tell you a whole lot that they're able to stay in these games. I think the Chargers win. I think it'll be a fairly close game, so I think the Jags cover, but not by much. I mean, I think the Chargers are going to win by probably 7.
Oof. Chargers definitely got a shot. That's going to be crazy, and we'll see how that one works out. In our Sunday night game, though, we have the 5-0 Seattle Seahawks traveling down into the desert to take on the 4-2 Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals have been looking really good, but the Seahawks are favored by 3.5. This is going to be a great game, I feel like, and it's going to end up being, I think, even a little bit of a shootout. Seattle was trying to make a big push for a signee we will talk about soon yet again, because I know you hate hearing his name, but they missed out. And now they still have a great team, though, with Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf and everything they have going on there. So Russell Wilson, though, is going to be able to go down into Arizona. I think they are going to win this game. I think Arizona is going to keep it close late, but Arizona, I think, is going to end up gassing out, and I think Seattle's going to end up taking it and covering.
And in the Monday night game, the Chicago Bears at 5-1. How they're 5-1, I have no idea. At the Rams, who are 4-2. The Rams are favored by 6, which I'm finding a little bit surprising because in the Rams wins, so look at this. The Rams wins that they've had have been against the Eagles, the Giants, and Washington. 3 not very good football teams.
So
the 2 games that they lost – yeah, exactly. They won against the NFC East. But the games that they lost were against the Bills, who are a good team, and the Niners are still their defense is still good. So looking at that, the Rams, you got to figure out what kind of team are they? And if they're the team that doesn't beat good teams, I don't know if they're going to win this game. I know the Bears have been really gotten lucky the last couple games. They barely lost against the Colts as their only loss, but their games they haven't beat anybody impressive either other than the Bucs. They beat the Giants, the Falcons, and the Panthers was a good game. They keep it close. So I think the Bears defense keeps it close. I will take the Rams at home, but the Bears cover.
Oof. And we'll definitely see how a lot of that works out. Definitely
I think it's going to be.
Definitely make sure to check us out next week on episode 79 when we take a look back on a lot of these. It's going to be interesting. This whole season has been crazy. Everything with COVID. So a lot of these games have already been kind of shuffled too. So it's crazy week, man. Crazy week of football. And we'll see how a lot of it works out. But we also got to check out something really great for the network. And that's the fact that we got sponsors like the Jacksonville Saints Australian Football Club. What can you tell us about that, Craig?
Absolutely. We want to take a minute and just shout out to our sponsor of Final Score, the Jacksonville Saints Australian Football Club. You got to make sure to check them out on Facebook, especially if you are a fan of Australian football. Facebook.com/Jacks Saints USAFL. That's JAXSAINTS USAFL. For the latest news, you can see practice times, game info, and don't forget to hit that like and follow button while you're there. You can also contact them directly if you want to email them. You can email the team at jacksonvillesaintsUSAFL@gmail.com for more information.
Absolutely. A lot of great guys over there. So definitely make sure to show them your support and check them out. But we're going to go ahead and crank on over to our next topic, and that is the fact that the man, the myth, I don't know if he's really a legend, Antonio Brown has reached a 1-year, $2.5 million max deal with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, if you remember, Antonio Brown was suspended 8 weeks in July for violating the NFL's personnel conduct policy for all of the craziness that happened and ensued after he left the Patriots, before he got with the Patriots, his entire being and just existing. Dude is crazy. But he's back in the league. So it's going to be interesting to see how that will work out with a very loaded offense where with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans and, of course, Gronk. And it's just so much going on over there. And now you enter in Antonio Brown. So it's going to be very interesting. What do you think about this, Craig?
I'm just tired of seeing this guy in the NFL, honestly. I'm just tired of his antics. I know a lot of people feel the same way. He's super talented, but he's so much of a headache off the field and even sometimes on the field that I don't understand. This is a good buy low for the Bucs, but you got so many weapons on your team now. It doesn't make sense. The two teams that were interested in his services, the Bucs and the Seahawks, neither one of them needs him. Neither one of them really should want him either. I mean, I said this to you I said this to you in passing a couple days ago. I said if Antonio Brown if he actually lasts the entire season on the Buccaneers, I can almost guarantee you the Buccaneers will not win the Super Bowl with him on the roster.
Oh, snap. Tampa fans are hating you right now. But, I mean, you're not wrong.
I mean, it's the reality. Look what he did. Yeah, look what he does. He's a locker room cancer. He's a talented dude if he actually sees the field. Mm-hmm. But all those other weapons, I mean, yeah, if he plays up to his potential, he could make a lot of money. But he can't get out of his own way. He needs help. Hopefully, he got the help he needed since he's been kind of out of the spotlight. But I highly doubt it. I don't expect this to be a good move. I think this is going to end up being a disastrous move for the Bucs.
Well, there were a lot of players, including ones like Russell Wilson, who came to his defense saying that Antonio Brown has changed and all that. But we've heard this before, I feel like. So it's hard to really fathom that we're going to see anything different. However, I feel the only reason Tom Brady, who is the one that pushed for this signing, the only reason he wanted him is he wanted as many ponies in his stable so he could try and not only make a run for a Super Bowl, but also be able to show that, hey, I could throw up as many stats as any of these other guys and get paid too. And that's the thing, is that Tom Brady has always been the one to take the back seat to the rest of the team, and it did back him into 6 Super Bowls. But the thing you got to look at is he never really had truly amazing weapons. So he has that in Tampa. But still, I think he's too old at this point.
Even before Yeah, even before Antonio Brown, this team had more weapons than he's ever seen.
Exactly, and that's why I feel like it's too much at this point. Like, I get it, Tom Brady.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
And I know you only get to say that so often in your life, but do you really need AB? Do you really need him? But then again, like you said, the Seahawks were suiting him. Baltimore also is another team named as trying to suit AB, but he lands with Tampa, and I think it's all because of Tom Brady, and Tom Brady being who he is, what he's trying to do. I don't know. It's going to be ridiculous. I agree with you, though, that if AB stays with this team all season, there's no way they win a Super Bowl. I feel the ego and the distractions that he brings is going to end up tearing apart part of that locker room, or at least distracting them enough to where they're not going to be able to win games in crucial moments when they need to. However, if he only lasts, say, 2 or 3 weeks because he ends up down at a strip club and ends up getting busted for something stupid, then, hey, they'll be able to get the cancer out. Maybe hopefully he's caught a couple of touchdowns, and, we can just move on with our lives. But who knows? Well,
How long do you think he lasts? How long do you think he lasts?
I'm gonna give him better than what he did with the Patriots. I say he's gonna make it at least 4 games. Ha! And I gotta love. Hold on, I gotta shout out Jimmy LeBar's comment. Tom backed into 6 Super Bowls. Brady. That's a great name, Jimmy. Thank you so much for that one.
Hey, but guess what? He's still got 6 Super Bowls.
He does.
I can't disagree with you because he said his defense has carried him in a majority of those games, or a kicker.
Yeah, or a
but
kicker.
Yeah, he's got 6 Super Bowls. I'm with you.
Ugh.
But yeah, hey, those of you that are tuning in, first of all, thank you for tuning in. Let us know in the comments what you think about Antonio Brown. How long is he going to last the NFL? I honestly, if we're setting that line at 3.5, I'm actually going to take the under.
Ooh.
I'm going to take the under. I don't think he lasts 4 games.
Ooh, man. I mean, hey, he only lasted 1 with the Patriots.
If we're setting it at 3.5, I'm saying he lasts probably a couple weeks, and then that 3rd week he does something stupid and just gets himself removed from the NFL again.
Man, I feel like we could almost take the over-under on what it's going to end up being. Like, is it going to be just women, or will it be like women and drugs and like a stolen car? Like, this is the NFL these days. It's turning into Grand Theft Auto. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, you always want to wish the best, I guess, for people, but AB just seems nuts. So who knows? But you know what else is nuts?
No. AB did all this to himself. No sympathy for him anymore. He makes a ton of money. He can rub it in my face. I don't care. But, I mean, no sympathy for him anymore.
I mean, at least he's not fetishing out like Ocho Cinco, but we're not even going to touch that one. But what we will touch on is the amazingness of the support that we get from the Jacksonville Rugby Football Club. Look at that
Odell
segue.
Beckham, right?
Oh, my God. Sorry, yes, OBJ.
Beckham, right?
Oh, not Ocho Cinco. Well, Ocho Cinco apparently has weird stuff too, but who knows? Either way, though, we'd like to take the time to thank the Jacksonville Rugby Football Club and Jacksonville Wolverines Youth Rugby for being a sponsor of Final Score. The Jacksonville Rugby Football Club is a Division III team and a member of the Florida Rugby Union. You can find the Jacksonville Rugby Football Club on Facebook at facebook.com/JaxRFC. That's /JAXRFC, or on their website at jaxrugby.org. You can also find the Jacksonville Wolverines Youth Rugby team on Facebook at facebook.com/Jacksonville Youth Rugby. And we love the support from those guys, and hopefully we get to do a lot more stuff with them in the future. But at this time, we're going to go ahead and move on over to the MLB playoffs because we are now in the World Series, about halfway through, and I tell you what, it has been a doozy. It has been crazy, even with the finish last night, which was absolutely insane. Man, Craig, what are we in store for? What have we been dealing with? This is amazing.
Yeah, the first, if you've been paying attention to baseball, first of all, the Rays, yes, the Tampa Bay Rays, the Moneyball team of the new era, has made the World Series against the Dodgers. I was surprised the Dodgers pulled out the NLCS. We talked about it last week of who's going to come out and face the Rays.
Mm-hmm.
It's been pretty back and forth. It's usually been blowouts one way or another, but Game 4 last night gave us the wildest finish I think we've ever seen in a baseball game. The Rays had to kind of fight their way back into the game. They were down early, then they took the lead in the 7th, then they lost it. But with 2 outs and 2 strikes in the 9th inning, one of the guys who was out there, Brett Phillips, not doesn't play a whole lot for the Rays, but he hits a single to center field off of Dodgers closer Kenley Jansen. So the tying run comes in, but this is where everything goes off the rails. So the center fielder, Chris Taylor, kicks the ball trying to field it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ray's outfielder, a rookie sensation, Ray Arozarena, I think I said that right.
Arozarena.
Yeah, I think it's yeah, Arozarena. So he was on first. Of course, there's 2 outs left. You can't he's not stopped running. So Taylor throws the ball to first baseman Max Muncy. So then he relays it to catcher Will Smith. So Arozarena coming around third, he stumbles and he's going to be out. He's going to be out by a mile.
Oh yeah, does a
he
3/4 roll and everything.
Third, almost trips. Oh yeah, he just stumbles over, and then he looks like he's out by a mile. Game over. But the catcher Smith, as he's pulling the ball, drops the ball, and it ricochets, allowing Arozarena to dive home, and the Rays win 8-7
in a thriller.
In the bottom of the ninth to take it, and in a thriller that ties it up. It's 2-2 now. The Rays needed that to stay in the series. Tonight is going to be Game 5. Starts at 8 o'clock tonight. I haven't been able to – I've been trying to look all morning to see who the starting pitchers are for tonight. I don't know if they've been released. If they have, I haven't seen it yet. So I'm not really sure. I would imagine, though, that the Rays are going to start using guys on short rest out of the bullpen, starting pitching. But, yeah, this has been wild. But I think so far, if the Rays were to pull off this series, Arozarena has to be – he's got to be the MVP of the series. I mean, this guy, he's come out of nowhere. He's batting .281 in the season, but just in the World Series, he's batting .357. So he's got 5 hits. He's scored 4 runs. He's got 2 home runs, and he's drawn 4 walks. Just in the I think he's got the team best batting average of more than 5 appearances at the plate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's absolutely killing.
The highest is 400, but he's only got that. But but that's Mike Brasso, and he's only got 5 appearances at the plate. So Arozarena has been the guy for the Rays to kind of be a spark plug for this team at the plate. He's been doing it all playoffs long.
Yeah.
So if the Rays have a chance, they go the way Arozarena goes, and the pitching just has to keep them in the game, and the Rays might have a chance here.
Yeah, honestly, it really depends on how that comes down. Right now, I actually just looked up the probable starters that are expected for Game 5 tonight at 8 o'clock on Fox. Will be Clayton Kershaw for the Dodgers and Tyler Glasnow for the Rays. So they're going to the big boys to try and get this thing done.
Oh, that's going to be a hell of a matchup. Hey, and give Kershaw a lot of credit for as bad as he has played in the postseason. He actually came to play in Game 1, and he was a catalyst of why the Rays only scored 3 runs in Game 1.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's gonna be crazy to see how this is gonna work out because the Dodgers are gonna try and pitch this. They don't want what happened last night to happen again. And there's a lot of blame being placed on the skipper over there for the Dodgers. It's crazy to see how all this has kind of unfolded. And I worry if this is causing a fracture in the Dodgers locker room at all because you have something like that happen that honestly was 2 errors on 1 play. It should not have happened whatsoever. And that should have been the Dodgers game. They should be up 3-1 getting ready to win the World Series tonight. And now they're sitting here with a pesky Rays team that's just not going away because of the Dodgers' own mistakes. So it's going to be crazy to see how this finishes up. Because if the Rays can capitalize, the Rays could end up taking this series. Do not count them out and think that there's no way they can win. They definitely can. It's just it really comes down to the Dodgers' mindset. But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I think the one thing, if you're a Rays fan, which I would love to see the Rays win a World Series, that'd be a fantastic experience for the state of Florida. But if you're the Rays, you got to be a little concerned because Glasnow, you said, who's going to be the probable starter. Just to give you some quick stats just in this series, he has started 1 game. He took the loss, and he only pitched 4 1/3 inning. He only gave up 3 hits, but he walked 6 batters and gave up 6 runs. He did have 8 strikeouts, but the walks is what you got to worry about. He's been great. He's been great in the regular season. He was 5-1. 91 strikeouts, only 22 walks. But in this series, he has not played well in his one outing. So Glasnow's gotta return to form. He's got to have a stronger outing if the Rays want to have a chance in this game.
Yeah, especially when your ERA is marked at 12.46 for the series. That doesn't look very good. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. But definitely make sure to check it out tonight, 8 o'clock on Fox. It's going to be amazing. Game 5 of the World Series. COVID time, man. I tell you, it's been crazy to watch sports this year. Also, just breaking, the NFL did fine the Tennessee Titans, $350,000 for their COVID-19 violations. So something just to throw out there real quick. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's not really surprising that they fined them but didn't do anything more than that. But hopefully it's a wake-up call for the team. That's a slap on the wrist. But, I mean, when your team has been blatantly disregarding guidelines and forcing games to be rescheduled, I think they should have went a little bit heftier of a penalty, but the NFL doesn't want to have to do that. So I'll be surprised to see if Tennessee makes their way into the doghouse again for violating COVID violations again.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely see. But if you want to see things final score, where can they catch us, Craig?
Hey, if you want to catch any of our episodes of Final Score, present or past, of course, you can watch us here on Facebook if you want to check us out every week, Sunday at 10 a.m. But you can also catch the replays of our shows. Audio versions will be on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Stitcher, Podbean, and Google Podcasts. The video version that you would see on Facebook, you can actually catch that on YouTube after the show has been aired. All you have to do is search on any of those platforms, keyword Final Score, one word.
Yes, absolutely. Check us out on all those. A lot of great stuff that we try to put out for you guys. But now we're going to go ahead and take a look at college football Week 8 action. It was an absolute doozy, top to bottom. And there's a lot of big action in the top 25. Of course, you know where I'm going to start is with number 3 Notre Dame going out and literally rolling over Pittsburgh 45-3, showing that maybe, hey, that game they had last week where they only beat Louisville 12-7 was just kind of a fluke, and maybe Louisville's just playing good that week. Who knows? But they definitely showed their dominance this week.
Yeah, you look at how they played. I mean, they dominated Pitt, and even when they came out and they made a statement by crushing Pitt. Of course, you talk about Notre Dame. Got to toss in the Big Ten season got started last night.
Oh yeah.
Number 18 Michigan. A lot of question marks coming in this year. Basically a brand new offensive line, new quarterback, lots of young guys on this offense, and in year 2 for Josh Gaddis as the offensive coordinator, I had a chance to watch this game in its entirety last night. Michigan, a dominating win, 49-24 over Minnesota on the road. And I'm really impressed with Joe Milton came in, he's not going to blow anybody out of the water in the stat book, but he made very few mistakes. He made some pretty good decisions on offense. They actually opened up the playbook and kind of let him just kind of play free, which has been really refreshing from Jim Harbaugh to allow that to happen. And that offensive line for 4 new starters, they played extremely solid. Couple that with the pass rush they were able to generate on Minnesota's offense. They forced Tanner Morgan to make a lot of mistakes. The rush defense, when it needed to, came up big, even though they gave up 140 yards to Ibrahim and 2 scores on the ground. I'm excited. This team is off to a good start. They generally don't get off to fast starts under Jim Harbaugh, and they did. They got off to a fast start. Anytime Minnesota scored, Michigan marched right down the field and scored 2. I'm excited to see how this team plays. Next week they got Michigan State, who got absolutely destroyed by Rutgers. Of all programs. Greg Schiano's back. That's where he's seen success was Rutgers, except for when he abused people. But it's just one of those things.
Not holding back today.
I'm going to be excited. Michigan. Yeah, Michigan and Michigan State, you can never keep the record books. You got to throw those records out the door when they play. But I think Michigan should be off to a pretty hot start. They got a really hard schedule in the Big Ten, but off to a great start so far. 49-24 win, winning the Little Brown Jug, and now next week is the Paul Bunyan Trophy.
Oh yeah, and there's a lot of stuff that was going on when you look at, say, other Big Ten schools like Penn State, and yes, we are going to talk about this because I have a feeling we have differing views on how this went down. But number 8 Penn State took on Indiana at home and ended up losing in an OT thriller, 36-35, and it's absolutely crazy because this game, Penn State should have put this game away early. Indiana is not a team that is able to challenge good ranked teams. It's just they just don't do that. They're a basketball school, let's be honest. But when you look at it, Indiana was able to come out here, execute their game plan, be able to capitalize on turnovers, and put Penn State in a very bad position early, and were able to kind of keep it going and slowly allowed Penn State to come back because, come on, it's Penn State still. But we ended up in overtime where Penn State gave Indiana a chance. Indiana ended up scoring a touchdown, went for 2, and what is being called one of the most controversial calls right now of the entire college football season. And not because it actually goes one way or the other, but it's because everybody is split on what actually happened on this play. As we saw the Indiana quarterback, I can't even remember his name to save my life right now. I got to look it up.
Oh, I got you.
You got me?
Michael Penix Jr.
There you go.
Penix Jr.
Michael Penix Jr. ended up going out to the left, rushing towards the corner of the end zone, makes a beautiful diving play from the 3 or 4 yard line, and was called a good 2-point conversion, barely taps the actual pylon on the edge of the end zone. Now, there's a lot of people who feel like he didn't make it because the ball ends up hitting the ground. Some people are arguing that the tip of the ball did break the plane, which is really all that's required. He didn't even have to hit the pylon to be able to get that 2-point try. Craig, what are your thoughts on it? Do you think it was good?
It's tough, man. You look at a couple different angles. There's a freeze frame of when he actually touched the ground. The ball was touching the front right part of the pylon, but did not break the plane. I do not think it was a good 2-point try. Whatever the call on the field was, that's what they kept with. And I think if they would have called it no good, they would have also kept it no good. I mean, it's such a close call. That's really tough. Those are one of those times that you really hate I would hate to be in a ref's shoes there to make that call.
Oh, yes.
But that's what they get paid for. That's why they train and look over these things to try to get it right. I think Penn State got hosed here, but it never should have got that far because with just under 2 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, Devin Ford had a 14-yard touchdown run that scored with 1:42 left. He should have slid just before the goal line, and that would have kept the clock running. Indiana never would have had a chance to even get the ball back. They could have just knelt it at that point, take the 21-20 victory, and go home and have a big matchup against Ohio State at home next week. But now he ran into the end zone. Indiana was literally letting him run. They wanted him to score because they knew they were going to march down the field and score. So they've been kind of marching down the field all day. So that's kind of it's an absent-minded play by Devin Ford. You got to feel for the kid. You know he's crushed because he knows it's basically hinges on him. But I feel bad. But now, if you're Penn State, you can't look back. You can't complain about it. If you want to get back in the playoff race, you have to win against Ohio State, who's been crushing people every week. Year in and year out, basically. You got a big-time matchup now next week at home, and that's your playoff hopes are on the line. If you lose, you're out. You have no shot whatsoever. If you win, you have an argument.
And what's crazy is that when you look at this, Penn State controlled a lot of different aspects of this game. They controlled time of possession, basically 2-1.
They dominated.
They had almost twice as many first downs. But the one part, almost over twice as many yards. But you look at it, Penn State had 3 turnovers. That's what utterly killed them. Because you look at how they played the first half, they had 1 touchdown, 7 points throughout the entire first half, while you're looking at Indiana, who ended up being able to score 17 in the second quarter alone. And then honestly, Indiana was outmatched
Yep.
in the second half. Were outscored in the third and fourth quarters, 21-11, and really, honestly, should have been able to take this game without much of an issue. But Indiana was able to capitalize and able to go for the 2-point. In my opinion, I think the actual 2-point was good. This is where you're supposed to have these pylon cams come into play, which we never saw an actual angle of, which you see more in the NFL. And this is where you just wish you had more cameras, period, to be able to see these things in every kind of way. But in my opinion, for how it looks like it barely breaks the plane right before the ball hits the ground. So in my opinion, I think it was a good play, but I absolutely agree with you. Whether it was called good or no good, on the review, I think they would have stuck because there just wasn't enough evidence to be able to overturn it either way because it was that close.
Absolutely. I think when you look at that, if you're talking about the pylon cam, the ball was too far underneath where that camera would have been, so you wouldn't even be able to see anything.
Exactly.
I don't think so. But I agree. I mean, they dominated. But how about the cojones on Michael Penix Jr. That last drive? It was literally came down and had to run for his life basically on a couple of different plays to end that game just to get a 1-yard touchdown run and then to run for the 2-point conversion just to force overtime. That you got to have some cojones if you're him. And so props to, hey, we're talking about Penn State and how they choked. Props to Indiana. Props to Michael Penix Jr. and that team for coming back and winning a huge game in their program history, beating a top 10 team.
Yeah, they haven't beaten a top 10 team, I believe, since 1987. I think that was their last top 10 win against any kind of a ranked opponent even. So it's crazy to see what Indiana was able to do. Hey, they're 1-0 now against the number 8 team in the country. So, hey, hats off to you guys and being able to get that win. And, man, Penn State's going to have to try and find some answers going forward. But we had a lot of other action, too, man. Number 6, Oklahoma State went to 3-0 in Big 12 play by beating Iowa State in a close one, 24-21. Marshall, let's talk about Marshall, number 22. That's right. Marshall is ranked. The Thundering Herd are ranked and off to their best start since 2014, where they went 11-0. They're now currently 5-0. There's so much going on. And then number 25, Coastal Carolina, who got their first ever win as a ranked team ever since joining the FBS in 2017. Yeah, good. Hats off to them.
Shout out to the Chanticleers. I just wanted to say their nickname. Shout out to the Chanticleers. Their first ever win as a ranked team. They have been, to their credit, they have been crushing it as a program since they joined the FBS in 2017. Other kind of news around the country. I know you probably want to touch on this a little bit too. Number 1, number 2, and number 5. Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State all dominate, but Ohio State's coming under some fire. Ryan Day didn't take a knee when he was up big against Nebraska in the fourth quarter, and said that he, quote, didn't have the personnel to take a knee. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, how do you make that your excuse?
Yeah, how do you not know how to tell a guy, hey, just hike it and take a knee? Like, really? It's victory formation. Are you kidding?
Like, how do you – yeah, he wants to rub it in because he does not like Nebraska, wants to run it up for the committee. I guarantee you he wanted to run it up for the college football playoff committee because that's how you get in the playoff is style points.
Yep, this is very true. And you got to keep in mind with a shortened season and only playing interconference, you're going to have to find ways to impress even against the most lowly of opponents. So definitely very interesting. He did say he was going to reach out to Scott Frost and apologize, but I'm sure a lot of it's just going to be for semantics and just for the look rather than the actual genuineness of it. So I don't know. We'll see. But one thing that you said I don't agree with, though, is that, number 1, Clemson dominated. They didn't dominate. They looked weak until about, the end of the third quarter, and then they actually turned on the Jets again. And it's because of Syracuse. Syracuse is such a pesky team for Clemson. Come on. 17-0 in the first quarter is not dominating? Yeah, but then you have Syracuse within 6 at
after
one point.
halftime?
Yeah, 27-14, and then they ended up being within, 6 in the third quarter?
It's a game of
picks for Trevor Lawrence's first pick six.
If you got Travis Etienne and Trevor Lawrence on a team, you're dominating. I'm sorry, you're dominating.
Yeah, Etienne's 86 yards.
I'm sticking to it. It's but how many touchdowns?
That's just the details.
3.
Baby.
I'll tell you 3.
That's just the
Count 'em
details.
up, 3. Yeah, quick shout out before we move on to Friday night, number 14 Wisconsin. They did dominate Illinois.
Oh, yeah.
They had freshman Graham Mertz at quarterback, 20 of 21, 248 yards and 5 touchdowns in his first start. There was a big question mark about quarterback for Wisconsin coming in the season. Graham Mertz, the freshman, he has basically silenced that for Wisconsin doubters.
And, I want to give one more shout out as well to Wake Forest for taking down number 19 Virginia Tech 23-16 and moving themselves to 3-2. Not looking too bad. Makes them actually probably a little bit more affordable of an opponent, unless Virginia Tech's just frauds and, then it's whatever. But but still, hats off for them beating a ranked opponent.
Yeah, we're doing quick shout outs. I mean, we gotta toss it out to the Des Moines, the Miami fans. Like, whoa, what's up with your team, man? Miami squeaked out a victory, 19-14 against 1-4 Virginia at home. I mean, I think you're gonna have tough games like that, but I mean that was too close for comfort if you're a Miami fan, being number 11.
Absolutely. And one last shout out for an unbeaten number 9 Cincinnati having a quietly good little season at 4-0, destroying number 16 and formerly undefeated SMU 42-13.
Yeah, I caught a little bit of this game. It was close early, and then the second half was all Cincinnati. Gotta love it when the group of 5 teams make it crash the party in the top 10. So, yeah, shout out to Cincinnati, the Bearcats.
Yeah, absolutely crazy to see. And a lot of great football action. Next week is going to be pretty crazy unto itself. I know there's going to be a lot of different marquee games for interconference squads, 'cause that's what everybody's pretty much playing at this point. But we will see like Clemson take on Boston College. Georgia will return to play, taking on Kentucky. But nothing really too crazy other than like Michigan State, which I think will be honestly, I think it's going to be a big blue win right there just because Michigan State looks really weak. Notre Dame's going to be traveling to Georgia Tech. Of course, you're going to see Oklahoma State and Texas, which could be an interesting game. Alabama, Mississippi State. But one big game I know a lot of people are going to be looking at, which lost a little bit of its luster, will be Ohio State, Penn State, and Happy Valley. And that's always a big, big rivalry game. But now it's also a luster now that Penn State's having to pick up the pieces after that Indiana loss. So I don't know what we're actually going to get in this game. What do you think?
Yeah, and I think Ohio State by a lot. I mean, Penn State is still kind of retooling a little bit, but you're going into Happy Valley. There are no fans. That's what's usually the difference maker. It'll be a whiteout game. There's going to be no fans. I think Ohio State by a lot.
Yeah, I have to agree. Penn State, I think, is just kind of lost right now, and I don't think they're going to be able to pick up the pieces in time to get it back together against a good Ohio State team led by Justin Fields, who's been playing lights out already in that first game. 20 of 21, 278 yards and 2 touchdowns, looking great through the air. So, yeah, it's going to be, I think, another sour day in Happy Valley. So, we'll definitely see. But moving on, though, that is the end of college football, but it's not the end of the great things that Podcast City Network brings to the table because at the end of the day, you can find them in all different outlets.
Shout out to the mothership.
That's right. Shout out to the mothership because we are a proud member of Podcast City Network, which you can find us at podcastcity.net/FinalScore, just cheap plug. But PCN is your home for up and coming independent podcasts. And you can find them on social media on Facebook at facebook.com/Podcast City Network, on Twitter at Podcast City Net, as well as Instagram at Podcast City Net. And you can also find them on YouTube by searching Podcast City Network and on their website at podcastcity.net. But they are also awesome because they are always looking for great shows. So if you have a new or existing show, you can come join the network because they offer an array of membership services, including logo design and branding, social media advertising, live podcast hosting, and much, much more. You also gain access to our network of shows to help with cross-promotion guests and overall reach, while also becoming a part of our ever-expanding PCN community based on people helping people. The best part is no membership fee. So what are you waiting for? Go to podcastcity.net/join now and join the fastest growing independent podcast network around, Podcast City Network. And with that, we're going to jump on over to the good old give or go. And let's see here. Oh man, it's going to be, this is a crazy slate.
Yeah, give or go. We got a handful of good stuff here for you today. So Chris, I'm going to toss the first one. This is kind of up your wheelhouse, almost literally here. So Michael Jordan the Michael Jordan Denny Hamlin team to be known as 23XI Racing and will field the number 23 car with Bubba Wallace as the driver. I'm not even going to ask give or go because we're giving on this. I guarantee you got some thoughts.
Oh, I definitely have some thoughts, and I think it's it's cool to see Michael Jordan getting involved with an actual established racer in Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin's been around the sport for a good amount of years now and racing for Joe Gibbs Racing in the number 11 FedEx car. But the thing I see here is that Michael Jordan knows nothing about racing. He's a fan, but he doesn't know anything about racing. So he just goes, hey, let's just make it about me and create 23XI Racing. Really? 23? Oh, and then we're also going to field the number 23 car.
So
really? The 23 car too, Michael Jordan?
I mean, no, this makes sense, but honestly, I applaud this because yes, the XI represents 11 in Roman numerals, and Denny Hamlin has had the number 11 in his Cup career, so that's why it's 23XI. But I want to applaud this for a bigger reason. Yes, Michael Jordan doesn't know anything about racing. However, look at some of the other racing owners. Some of them are not attached or have raced, right? Like, well, it's just
some of the newer ones.
But I want to look at some of the newer ones. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at.
Yeah. Because when you look at a lot of it, a lot of these guys have been around a long time, like Roush and Ganassi and, of course, Hendricks. But, you look at new guys that come into NASCAR, and I know this is more NASCAR trying to diversify more so and try to bring in, notable names into NASCAR as well. And I like the direction of it. I just feel like don't be so self-serving. I feel like 23XI, like, come on. You couldn't just come up with something like, a little more interesting.
No, but think about this, though. Michael Jordan has made a name of owning things, putting his stamp on it, but also being an ultimate opportunist. Like, he's literally the whole reason this went into motion was because of the fact that Bubba Wallace has become one of the biggest names for NASCAR, and the fact that he's African American.
Yeah, and I love that aspect.
Jordan is literally capitalizing. I love that. You are diversifying it, but he's putting his stamp on it. I'm not too worried about that. I just love the fact that he's getting involved, whether he knows much or not. That's why Denny Hamlin's working with him, because you got to have somebody that knows the sport.
Oh, exactly, and I think he definitely made a good move there. And I'm not trying to downplay or make it sound like it's bad that they brought him in to diversify or that Bubba Wallace is the driver. My thing is, why be so self-serving to put your own player's number that you wore while you were in the NBA as the name of your race team? Like, I would have rather even preferred his Airness Racing or, hey, Air Motorsports, I don't care. Like, something would have been better. 23XI. That's just such a weird name to have. When you have guys like Ganassi Racing and Hendrick Motorsports and Junior Motorsports and Wood Brothers Racing and all these kind of things. And then 23XI. I don't know. This doesn't seem to fit to me.
Because that's his. It does fit to me because that's Jordan's brand. Like, you have the Jordan brand, you have the Jumpman.
Jordan Racing would have been
23
better.
is an iconic number.
Jordan Hamlin Racing.
I can see that. Like, that's good, but I like that's good. Hey, you should contact him and tell him that.
I know. Yeah. Hey, hit me up.
I like it though. I like the branding. Yeah, I like the branding because there are a couple things Jordan's known for: the Jumpman and 23. Those are the things that he's known for.
That's
so
true.
It makes sense. You want to show that branding, but it's also for crossover because how many people are going to at least take a look at 23XI Racing because the number 23 is involved, Jordan's involved.
You do make a very valid point because it is eye-catching. You see the 23 and know anything about Jordan, that's going to end up being something that's going to pull you. So I guess that does make sense. It's just
it's
so
all
bland.
about the crossover.
Sounds like a well-modified team. My gosh. But, either way, I wish them all the best and success because I think this is going to be great.
It's like trying to it's like trying to bring in Ronda Rousey to WWE and, put her in some, squash matches. It's the same thing. You're trying to get crossover audience.
Yeah, and she is apparently making a return, so we'll see how that works out. But in our next give her a go, ex-Cowboys receiver.
She's been training with James Storm.
Well, that ain't saying much, but that's for another show, maybe on a Chris Carnage episode. But ex-Cowboys receiver Des Bryant is set to join the Ravens practice squad following early season workout, and of course he has to pass all the COVID stuff. But give her a go.
I'm gonna go. I don't think he's gonna make a whole lot of an impact. He is older. he was good when he was there, but he still, you could tell in his later years he couldn't get separation. He's probably lost a step or two. I know he's been working out a lot. He's been busting his hump trying to get back in.
Mm-hmm.
I wish him the best, especially being an ex-Oklahoma State player, alumni. But I don't think it's going to make a whole lot of an impact. Maybe as a red zone threat, but I wish the best for him. I don't think it's going to make a big impact.
Yeah, I have to agree on that one. I think this is kind of non-news at this point.
Yeah, let's move on. This is a really interesting one. I'm glad I'm tossing this to you because I really want to hear you go off here in your 2 cents.
Oh yes.
Adam Schefter, the man who he's the NFL news breaking man. He picked up Antonio Brown in his fantasy league before tweeting about Antonio Brown signing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Give or go.
Yeah, we're definitely giving on this because what I find funny about this, Adam Schefter always seems to have something going on. Let's not forget, Adam Schefter just came back from, I believe, or was it Ian Rappaport? I don't know. One of them was on a 2-week vacation from social media land just because they ended up being banned.
That was Ian Rappaport.
Yeah, well, they should do Schefter after this one because Schefter ended up being basically busted by ESPN's network vice president of production, Seth Markman, after he tweeted a picture showing that Schefter sneakily added Antonio Brown to his team just a couple of hours before breaking the news for the public about Antonio Brown that he's going to return. So a lot of people are seeing this as really shady and almost like insider, that kind of insider trading kind of thing where Schefter's really taking advantage of news that he is receiving to be able to help his fantasy team. Now, I don't know if they're playing for money or whatever the case may be in that fantasy league, but that is still very, very shifty on so many levels.
Hey, guess what?
What?
It's fantasy fucking football. No one cares.
Hey, they care if they got
like,
money.
Who cares if he picked him up? Who cares? It's not like Martha Stewart where there's actual money being affected in people's lives. It's a fucking fantasy league. Who gives a shit?
People who play fantasy, sir. Gosh. But still, it's very shady.
I know. I'm in 2 leagues and I haven't paid attention to any of them. Well, I know. I'm in 2 leagues and I've paid attention to 0 this year, and I'm still at least 500.
Oh, my gosh. You're so crazy. But, yes, Adam Schefter, either way, I think it's kind of scummy that you kind of took advantage of the situation to be able to pick up AB. But, hey, man, whatever. I hope he ends up, like Jimmy said, tearing his ACL second day of practice, and we'll see what happens. Anyways, next one I'm going to throw out to you. NBA draft to be held virtually now at the ESPN studios on November 18th. Give or go.
I would go I'm going to go on it just because that's the way these are going until COVID passes and we have a vaccine for it and we can start getting back to these big group outings. I'm not surprised. I'm really going to be interested to see how they handle the pre-draft process now that we have such a short time between the 2020 season and then the beginning of the 2021 season. I'm going to be really intrigued to see how the offseason plays out, but this is not really much of a surprise to me at this point.
Yeah, definitely not. Not as much of a surprise as our last Give or Go topic, which I'm not even going to try and say and pronounce his entire name, but Khabib, after defeating, I can't pronounce any of these names, Justin Gaethje, UFC 254, had announced his retirement. That's right. Khabib had announced his retirement, said he will not fight anymore without his father being there. And if you remember, his father had recently passed away this year. Very sad to have heard that happen. And, man, we are losing an athlete right now.
Yeah, I mean, and he does go by Khabib now. They don't really say his name last name too much anymore. But Justin Gaethje was supposed to be his toughest test. He was 22-3 coming into the fight, but Khabib's 29-0. He's been dominating. He won in a triangle choke in the second round. Khabib is a legend in the sport of MMA. He's destroyed everybody he's come across. It's really going to be tough to see him leave, but I mean, after 29 fights, who more can you fight at this point? Nobody else you can fight that you haven't already beaten. He's got nothing to gain here. I'm not surprised because he has such a close relationship there with his dad who passed away because of COVID-19 related complications. So we're sad to see him go, but congratulations on a fantastic career. If he does decide to come back at some point, we'll love to see him dominate yet again. But I'm not too surprised here. But this is you can tell a guy who's never showed a lot of emotion. Broke down after the fight. He was on his knees in the middle of the octagon, and he left his gloves kind of like an Undertaker-esque nod there. So it's tough to see him go. But great dominating career, 29-0, probably the greatest fighter in the UFC that we have seen to this point.
Absolutely, and so many athletes around the world reaching out and offering, their congratulations on the win and their sentiments on the retirement. And looking on his career, Conor McGregor being one of the top ones in his sport to really reach out. But, hats off to Khabib and everything he's been able to do. Absolutely amazing to see the kind of fighter that he was. And, hopefully he will come back one day. But, as of right now, the man's going into retirement. But, man, that's a heavy one to end on for Give or Go. So let's kind of spruce this thing up with a little bit of Podchaser. What can you tell us about Podchaser, Craig?
Yeah, we're just to let you know a little bit about Podchaser. It's your daily source for podcast discovery. Apple Podcasts is no longer the only credible place to rate and review podcasts. On Podchaser, you can follow individual creators, you can browse every podcast ever, and you can even rate and review individual episodes, which is pretty cool. No other site does that. You can find us on Podchaser. Go to podchaser.com and search keyword FinalScore, one word. Give us a follow, give us a rating, give us a review, and check out all the awesome things that Podchaser has to offer while you're at it.
Yes, most definitely. Definitely check us out there. And now we're going to take a look at the week ahead. A lot of little things happening here. Excuse me. Double Dime will be having episode 12 live tomorrow from their new studio that they just moved into, live on Twitter and Periscope. Just search at Fixed Edged on Twitter, and you'll be able to find them there. A lot of great stuff. And, man, we got another show that did something. Oh, yeah, Urban Nerd Weekly just dropped season 7 this past Friday, so definitely make sure to look for Urban Nerd Weekly by searching at Urban Nerd Weekly, and you'll be able to find season 7 there. A lot of great stuff that Space is doing over there. Really entertaining show. Definitely make sure to check it out. Oh, my goodness, getting a frog in my throat right now, but
Absolutely. Giving some shout out, giving some love to the PCN family. Congrats to Double Dime on the new digs. Urban Nerd Weekly doing some great stuff as well. But we've also got some fun stuff going on too. We are going to be hosting Draft Day, Halloween Party Edition at City Limits Tap Room this coming Friday. So if you live in the Orlando, Daytona area, anywhere in between, hell, even come down from Jacksonville, come over from Tampa, come up from Miami, come from all across the state.
Woo.
Come hang out with Chris and I and Derek the Beer Guy. October 30th, it starts at 7 p.m. That's when karaoke starts. Draft Day show is going to start at 9, and there's going to be a costume contest at midnight. So check that out for sure. We're going to be live streaming during that event. There's going to be $500 in cash prizes from Steel Fox Firearms. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that. Are you going to give away what your costume is going to be yet, or are we going to be a surprise?
Man, I'm going to be totally honest. I don't even know what I'm going as yet, so we'll definitely see what happens when I actually get there. But knowing me, it'll be something crazy. But I know what Derek the Beer Guy is going, and that's going to be funny. Really funny. So definitely make sure to come out and check it out, as well as checking out episode 79 of Final Score next week, Sunday morning, 10 a.m. here live on Facebook Live. And we'll definitely be recapping a lot of different action from all across sports. But until then, I'm Chris and that's Craig, and we thank you guys so much for watching Final Score and helping support the show. We already know that we have made a few sales through the PCN shop where some of you guys have already bought some gear. We thank you guys so much for the support, and we definitely promise we're going to keep trying and bring you the very best that we absolutely can. But until then, next week, episode 79, 10 a.m. Sunday, I'm Chris, that's Craig, and you guys have just watched Final Score. Y'all have a great night.
Podcast City Network.